Yes, you can go live.
Ready? Okay, please rise.
Hold on, wait for James's confirmation.
We're live.
I'm sorry.
All right, we are live.
All right, Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
Allegiance to the flag of the United
It's a,
States
to the republic
Republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Nick, Boggy is texting saying he can't get in. The link isn't working. Maybe this is him on the phone.
I see him. He's in there.
And just a reminder, that was Karen and I doing the Pledge of Allegiance. Everybody else was on mute, so.
Okay, so Ms. McVeigh, can you do the recognition item 2?
I sure will. This is to advise those present at this meeting of the Board of Education of the Pinelands Regional District in the County of Ocean that adequate notice of this meeting was provided in accordance with the Open Public Meeting Act. The notice has been posted in the Board of Education office, the junior high and high school buildings. The notice was also mailed to the press of Atlantic City and filed with the municipal clerks of Bass River, Eagleswood, and Little Egg Harbor Township, along with the borough of Tuckerton. Roll call, please.
Mr. Williams. Here. Ms. Baklakua.
Yes.
Ms. Chambers.
Here.
Ms. Palladino.
Here.
Mr. Rossetti.
Here.
Ms. Harper.
Here.
Mr. Dalio.
Here.
Ms. Hannadel.
Here.
And Mrs. McVeigh.
Here.
All members present. We are in a regular session.
All righty.
Nick, can we just clarify whose number ends in 8032?
Keeps popping up.
Do you want me to
Yes.
repeat them?
Yeah, I don't know who that would be. Is that person whose number ends in that? Can they?
If someone is,
mind-
phone number, yeah, 8032.
Yeah,
All right,
remove-
I'm going to remove them. All right. Sorry, Nick.
No, we're all good.
All right, go
All
ahead.
right, so we're going to cruise past the executive session and move on to the approval of the agenda. Do you have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yes.
Opposed?
All right.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Nick. Approval of the minutes, items A and B. Can I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Second. That was Pat.
Thank you, Ms. Chambers. Any questions? Mr. Williams?
I have to abstain. I was not present.
Thank you. Ms. Paklakua?
I will abstain. I was not present.
Ms. Chambers?
Yes.
Ms. Palladino?
Yeah.
Mr. Rossetti?
Yes.
Ms. Harper?
Yes.
Mr. Dalio?
Yes.
Ms. Hannadel?
Yes.
And Mrs. McVeigh.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, moving along to the report of the superintendent, Dr. McCooley.
Thank you. First, before I get started on my report, I just want to make an announcement that if you are going to want to participate and call in during public comment, you will only be allowed to call in during that time. So if you're going to call in early, you're not going to be on hold. Please only call in during the time of public comment. Okay, so for my update, first, the shared business service agreement states that we have to have a liaison for Pinelands and one for Little Egg, a liaison that would basically just communicate with one another to see how our business services are going with our shared agreement. And Mr. Dalio has agreed to be that liaison for Pinelands, and Mrs. Januzzi has agreed to be that for Little Egg. So I just wanted to make that announcement to the board. A survey was sent out because your feedback is solicited for the shared business services. I put together a brief survey. It's due on Friday, so please get that done. We already had 2 participants. Okay, I have some positive announcements. First, our 2020 sports marketing case study national champions are from Pinelands High School. They won. I'm echoing. Can everybody mute themselves unless you're me? All right. Our sports marketing class won first place in a nationwide sports marketing competition that started at the beginning of March. Over 60 high schools competed across the United States. The students were responsible for performing marketing analysis on various case studies and then creating a detailed marketing strategy and advertising campaign, and Pinelands was victorious. Congratulations. A special congratulations to Dr. Lynn Atkins. He has been selected to present his research on teaching strategies and lesson plan guides on the LGBTQ inclusion curriculum in choral music to the National Association of Music Education in Orlando, Florida in November. This is an extremely prestigious honor. Over 238 proposals were submitted for this event and he was selected. So he will represent Pinelands proudly. Congratulations, Dr. Atkins. Next, the JAGS program, which is phenomenal. The Jobs for American Graduates is participating in a national social media campaign to celebrate the 2020 graduates across the nation. This is an online campaign. It is geared towards students in social media, and if they want to participate in this and put together their advertisement, they could win money. I'm going to send this out to all of our students, and a very special shout out to Lexi Kelly, who is part of the press release that JAGS has put together for this program. So we're so proud of her. She's going to Stockton in the fall, and she's representing Pinelands and JAGS proudly. So congratulations, and hopefully we have people participating in that program. Okay, I have 2 more things. Oh, I forgot one. One more good news, and I don't want to forget good news. School-based youth services Youth Thrive Group took first place in a suicide prevention public service announcement that they created. They made a video. They were in competition with many other students, and they won this prestigious award. So congratulations to those students. So graduation has been a very challenging feat to conquer, and we are starting tomorrow to have our students come in. They're going to be in their cap and gown, and they're going to walk across the stage. They're going to be videoed. They're going to have their photograph taken, and we are doing this as the first step in creating our virtual graduation. Now, information has been coming out daily. Most of it contradicts itself, but we've been getting information every day regarding graduation, what we can and cannot do, and we are hanging on by a thread that we are going to be allowed to do something along the lines of a more traditional graduation. So I have been updating the board, the class of 2020, and our parents. As fast as I'm getting information, I'm sending it out. So although we're doing the virtual graduation starting tomorrow, it does not mean that we will not have a traditional graduation or some form of it if we can. So I just want to make that clear to everyone. ESY, extended school year, will be completely virtual. Mrs. Lichtenwaller and her team have put together a great plan, and she will be putting information out to families, as well as she has a virtual meeting scheduled for the end of the month. So please look for that link for Zoom, and you can ask any questions you have of her. Lastly, what will September look like? We've had multiple meetings with the state, and the only guidance that we have been given is it's going to look different for every school district. So does that help? No. But what it tells us is a smaller school district may be able to function with social distancing. Larger school districts are going to have difficulty with this, with busing, with rooms, with staying away from each other, with lunch service. So we have determined that we're going to create a plan in the summer that what we've been doing, A, B, C, and we don't know what's going to happen. So we're going to have those multiple plans developed. And then as information comes out from the DOE, we will select the plan that's most appropriate. So once again, as I get information, I will be sending it out to you, but we will be developing a comprehensive plan in the summer that has those levels and tiers of what September is going to look like. So any questions from the board on that? Okay, then that's it for my update.
Already,
Oh,
any,
I'm sorry, I have a question on the other reports, the attendance report.
Okay.
How are we counting attendance being that we're all the students are remote?
So we're counting attendance by participation. So if a student does not participate, then they are, the teacher will follow up with them and they would be counted absent for that day. But what the teacher does is they contact the principal's secretary and let them know that the student was not present at all that day. So that's how we're tracking attendance.
Okay, thank you.
all right, so we'll move along to presentations.
Sure. I think James is going to be putting up our presentation. Oh, Phil did it. Thank you, Phil. Okay, this is just going to run so you can watch this. This was supposed to have a song. I think there's technical difficulty.
I think Darren Hickman should sing.
All right. All right. We have special education update, Mrs. Lichtenwalner.
Good evening. Bill's going to share my presentation. So I just wanted to give a very brief update on all of the things that we've done in the special ed department this year, how remote learning is going and what we're going to be doing for next year, some of the plans. Go ahead, Bill. Okay, so you guys have seen a lot of this on our board agendas, and I know I've answered many questions and will continue to do so as they come up. But one of the biggest things that we've done this year is really just the collaboration between the teachers and the child study team members. We worked really, really hard on taking on course, learning the ins and outs of the special education code, writing IEPs and programs for kids really tailored to their needs. We used individualized data to create different reading programs, and you'll see that we're going to be carrying that over into the high school for next year. One of the most successful things that we did this year was our Lunch and Learn Buddy program, where we had students from various classes work together to support each other with social skills and just emotional and social learning and acceptance in the school. You have definitely approved many trips into our community, and our community-based instruction programs has really grown this year. And the teachers are using a lot of data, and they're really making decisions based on that data for the kids and most appropriate placements for them. Service learning projects through our Calvary Baptist Church has been really successful, and definitely the progress monitoring was something that was increased this year. Bill? And I just thought that this was important just to summarize what we've done and just really looking at our community partnerships, our partnerships within the school. I think this was a really great year for the special ed department to branch out. Our child study teams branched out of their offices, branched into the classrooms, and we really were able to work together to develop our programs. Bill? Okay. So this is what we've been doing for virtual learning. And I'm not going to read through all of these things, but I do want to tell you that when I sit in meetings with other Ocean County directors and some of my colleagues from Atlantic County, they are blown away by what we're doing in our districts as a whole and really with our special ed students. We're one of the only districts in Ocean County that's using our paraprofessionals to support our students. They're doing daily meetings with their students. They're working really collaboratively with our teachers. Our teachers are working in all departments around the clock to support our students. Our related service providers are giving therapies as much as possible. Our child study teams, they're holding their meetings. They're doing as many evaluations as they can. They're reaching out to their parents and trying to provide as many supports as possible. Another really unique thing that we're doing in Pinelands School District is our behavioral supports through our BCBA and our behavior specialist and our teacher coordinator, Mr. Beaton. They have reached out to parents, and we're going to have a parent question and answer session to help the parents who are struggling at home, to help their kids get motivated, to deal with some behaviors that are coming up at home. This is a really unique and really amazing thing that our staff is doing during this time of virtual learning. Next. And these are the plans for the upcoming school year. One of the biggest things that you're going to hear more about in the next couple of meetings are our Communities Pathways program. That's our new 18 to 21-year-old program that we're developing. It is not for every student that's 18 to 21 staying in our district, but it's for specific students that really need that structured learning in school and then the support in a community work environment. So we have a parent meeting for that tomorrow night with select parents that are participating in that group. And it's going to be a really amazing program for our students to help them prepare to transition into adulthood after school. Definitely increasing that specialized instruction. Like I mentioned before, our reading specialist, we're hiring a reading specialist, and that reading specialist is going to help support our students in very, very specific areas of learning. We are going to carry over our specialized reading instruction, the Just Words program, to the high school. It was in the junior high this year, and we're now bridging it over to the high school. We're going to continue to enhance our community-based instruction and our service learning projects for a lot of our students to get them out in the community, get them prepared from 7th grade through 21 years old so that they can be prepared to join our community as adults. And definitely increasing our math and reading supports in pull-out resource and in in-class support settings. Finally, we're going to continue to learn the code and really practice the law and make sure that we're doing everything that we possibly can to support our teachers and our child study team members and our families to give our students the best instruction that we possibly can. Next. And this last slide is just some different things that are coming up right now. Like I mentioned earlier, on the 22nd, which is this Friday at 1 o'clock, we're having a Zoom meeting with our behavior specialists and our BCBA and our teacher coordinator and myself. It's an open question and answer session. Sorry, my kids are walking inside. It's an open question and answer session where you can call with any questions that you have. If you are having trouble getting your child to log on, if you're having trouble getting them to complete assignments, you know, our team of specialists are here to help you. So feel free to log on to that and we'll have an open dialogue with you and try to help in any way that we can. On Tuesday, the 26th at 6 p.m., I am hosting a special ed parent question and answer session also. It is for any topic. I'm definitely going to talk about our virtual extended school year and any questions that you may have coming up about compensatory services. What are we doing in September? Any kind of special ed questions that you have at all, that is going to be open to anyone who wants to join us. And I also just put in the information about our extended school year. Does anybody from the board have any questions?
Looks great.
Great job, Erin. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Erin.
All right, the next on the, the next for presentations, it says the NJSLA science report. That is just for the board to review. We're not actually doing a presentation, so you can just review that and see our scores. And if you have any questions, you are welcome to reach out to Ms. Frasca or Mr. Baronato. Lastly, we have the PTSO, and I got a little ditty from Miss Molesky to read. So she would like everyone to know that the PTSO would like to wish everyone a healthy and happy summer and thank you for your support this year. Although a short year, we were still able to raise money to help with community events and students in need. We are also proud to be awarding 4 $250 scholarships to our seniors. We would like to congratulate the class of 2020 and wish them well as they begin a new chapter in their lives. The resilience they have shown will be their strength in the future, and we are sure they will make us proud. Once a Wildcat, always a Wildcat. So thank you to Michelle and the PTSO for all the wonderful things that they're doing for our students.
All right. Thank you, Melissa. We'll move on to the work section, the board forum, contracted service provider payments.
Yep, thank you very much. And am I unmuted? Yep. All right, I just want to remind everybody that public comment will follow this item on the agenda. The public comment number is 609-294-2293. Please only call in during the public comment. We will not answer the phone until the public comment section. So we're going to move on quickly to the board work session. And the finance committee met on May 6th. And at that meeting, we reviewed a couple of local finance notices that were distributed that discuss on keeping positive cash flow during these times of uncertain revenues. So I provided a summary of the local finance notices to the committee. We also discussed the payment request from Durham. You remember at our previous meeting, we were talking about a number that was all of their fixed costs amounted to about 78% of the total money owed to them for the rest of the year. After further discussions with them and some updates to the law, they've reduced that request down to what amounts to a little over 35%. When we met with the finance committee last week, it was 34.6%. At the time, there was still some pending legislation that could allow that number to move a little bit. And that legislation did get finalized. This allows Durham to bill, and we are required to pay for their fixed costs during this shutdown, which would include during the early part of it, any unemployment obligations they had. So I'm going to share with the rest of the board, there is no payment request for Durham on today's agenda. They'll submit that for consideration in June. And I will review this with the Finance Committee one more time before that time, but the Finance Committee was comfortable recommending payment of 34.6% of the revenues, as our conversation was at the time. The final number is going to be about 38.5%, it looks like, with these adjustments from the last legislative session. So I'm going to share that information with the Finance Committee. And I just wanted to make sure we left some time to discuss with the board any questions they might have about this. So I'll quickly let you guys know that the total amount that Pinelands would owe normally for the remainder for mid-March through the end of June is just over $500,000, about $515,000. We're proposing, Durham has proposed a revised total that would be $199,000. So the district would save the difference, which is a little over $316,000. And I think based on our discussions with other districts around the state, with other BAs in Ocean County, this seemed like a very fair offer from Durham. And it's indicative that they have fairly low operating costs, low lease obligations for their house. They don't have a bunch of or for the bus yard. They don't have a bunch of bus leases to pay. So their responsible business management is a good thing for us. I'll turn it over to the board in case you guys have questions about this item on the agenda.
Yeah, Nick, this is Karen. Thanks for that update. You said the Finance Committee? Is that the same folks as the Budget Committee?
Yeah, I'm sorry, the Budget
or two different?
Yeah, the Budget and
Okay.
Finance Committee, yep.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
And I'll share the Finance Committee notes with everybody so the whole board can see the topics for discussion.
All right, thank you.
I'd just like to add too, that one of the things that we did bring up is that we want to maintain a good working relationship with Durham buses. We need them as much as they need us. Eventually we will be back in session, and we want to make sure they're viable and they're in town and they can still meet our needs and the needs of all the other school districts that they provide services for. So I think this is a prudent thing to do, is to pay them what we need to pay them and keep that relationship and their business whole, so that they'll be there when we need them again.
Yeah, that's a great point, Betty. And they actually, and I give a lot of credit to Durham for being this prepared. In the information that I'll share for you, it goes month by month of the remaining months for billing for the remainder of the year. And it shows what their costs are. It's a summary, but then also when they're anticipating to bring key staff back, and pending the outcome of this meeting and our general willingness to pay at these amounts, they're going to bring back their area manager, and they're going to start bringing back some mechanics so they can get the fleets ready for next year. So they're ready to, just start moving to next year, making sure they're ready to go.
Okay.
Thank you, Nick.
Nick, the 199, is that Pinelands portion of it, or is
Yes,
that
ma'am.
and okay, so that's our part only. I would assume that the other sending districts would have something as well, a payment.
That's right.
As well.
And so
But
Karen, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead.
no, go ahead. That's fine.
I was going to say we've been in contact with Eagleswood, Tuckerton, and obviously Bass River, Little Egg, same. Everybody has their own personal summary of what this percentage looks like month to month, and the dollar impact to each district. 199 is Pinelands only.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
Thank you, Nick. With the 199, when this all opens up again, is those dollar amounts going to come off the future contracts?
So with the way that would work, because we've encumbered that money in the current year's budget. So at the end of the year, that money is going to roll through to the excess surplus calculation. So at that time, that's going to happen when the audit's done. We determine how much of that gets deposited into reserve accounts, how much of that's going to remain as part of fund balance, how much of that is going to be rolled in as part of the excess surplus calculation to be applied to next year's budget. So it will move as savings into next year, but that'll be done in what form will be finalized during the audit process.
And the same thing with the 316,000 that we will not be expending?
Yes, I'm sorry. I was describing the 316, not the 199. Yeah, my previous description was what happens with unspent budget money.
What happens with the 199?
That we're going to pay that in June. They're going to submit a bill for March and April. We're going to pay the bill for June, and then I guess it'll be probably in July. We'll have another bill to cover the last period of the year.
Nick, do you want to maybe explain again that making that payment is something we have to do?
Yeah, absolutely. And for the board, in the finance committee notes, we've hyperlinked the bill that you can see, but it's I want to say 2904, 3904. Assembly Bill 3904 requires payments to subcontractors and contracted service providers, and that'll be that's linked in there. Senate Bill 2350 is linked in here, as well as the local finance notices and some information on the discussion about the telecommunications. But to Betty Ann's point, this bill requires that the district pay all of the fixed costs of our contracted service providers. And Durham is the biggest one of those, with the remaining amount owed and the need to find some resolution to it. We have other transportation providers like HeartNet who we may have to do, we will have to do similar conversations with, but they're on a much smaller scale. We only have a couple of runs with them.
Nick, how soon would you be able to do a total calculation of all those other contracted services, what we have to pay and what we have left remaining?
Well, because a lot of that includes some of Erin's group and therapy providers. I think we wouldn't, that would be is when we close out the year is when we'll have an idea of what those final invoices look like.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Any other questions about contracted service providers?
Yeah, I do. It's Pat. Aside from the transportation contractors, the other providers that we do service with, whether it be health services, things like OT, PT, things like that, we have to pay them for the duration of the year too, because we've contracted with them, or we don't?
We do. If they're working and submitting invoices, we're paying them.
Okay.
Not everybody has submitted.
Okay, so only those contractors that are working directly with our students in any capacity would then be submitting invoices for payment.
Yes, I don't have anybody who hasn't provided a service that's submitted an invoice payment at this time.
And they're, okay, and of course they're doing this virtually too. Okay.
And that covers, Nick, it's Kim, that covers stipends as well. Is that why we're paying the stipends, or they're actually doing the work as well?
Yeah, our interpretation of 3904 is that it requires the payment of stipends as well.
Okay. Because I know that seemed to be part of the discussion at the state level, but didn't really have an answer when I was there. Okay.
So which stipends are we referencing?
We were talking about
like
spring sports stipend, yep.
So we are required to pay the spring sports stipends?
Well, I think it's important to remember that most of those coaches provided services even during the shutdown or coaching and instruction, because there was no official cancellation to the season until I want to say early May. So most of them worked through it. So but yeah, our interpretation, or my interpretation, would be that we're required to pay those. I think most districts in the state have been.
Could Amy give us some legal advice on that? I don't understand. I do understand the regular salaries and to carry people through and not to cripple the state with all the unemployment things, but for these extra things that never occurred.
So, Mr.
Go ahead.
Williams, Mr. Williams, it's Amy. The actual law that Nick was quoting, 3904, has in it that, and I'm going to read from it, so pardon me, but that way it's just very clear that, let me start. In the event of a closure of the school of a school district due to a declared state of emergency, a declared public health emergency, or a directive by the appropriate health agency or officer to institute a public health related closure for a period longer than 3 consecutive school days, public school employees covered by a collective negotiations agreement shall be entitled to compensation, comma, benefits, comma, emoluments as provided in the collective negotiations agreement as if the school facilities remained open for any purpose and for any time lost as a result of the school closure. So when looking at that, the interpretation that Nick is saying is that if school was open, those emoluments or those stipends, those individuals would be getting, and that's actually right in the law itself. And I believe that those individuals, and correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. McCooley or Mr. Brown, that they are actually working remotely as well. Those people who are getting those stipends.
Correct.
Does that help answer your questions, Mr. Williams? Mr. Williams?
Yeah, you would cut out.
Oh, I apologize. What was the last thing you heard?
That in the law, you thought that those things, and then that's where I lost you.
Okay, so the way the law is written, it says essentially that all school employees during the closure are entitled to their compensation, benefits, and emoluments in their contracted agreement as if school was open.
Yep.
So, and it's separated by commas. So compensation, comma, benefits, comma, and emoluments. And when you look up the term emoluments, that is where the guidance is coming from, that would be that extra, like a stipend or that type of thing.
Okay, thank you.
So we would be treating all of our staff like that. So the spring coaches, as well as any of the club advisors would get their full year.
Yes, that's our interpretation.
Right?
Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions about 3904 Durham or payment to contractors? Thanks everybody for your questions. We're going to go, there's no items for new business, correct?
No.
All right. For everybody, the call-in number 609-294-2293.
All right, I'm going to read the residence forum for agenda items only. Board policy number 0167 encourages community participation in every meeting. However, the board requests that the public respect a reasonable time limit when commenting on agenda items only.
Okay, let's go over to Mr. Yates and see if we have anybody on the line for public comment. Do we have anybody, Mr. Yates?
Yeah.
All right, just a reminder to everybody that the live stream broadcast is on about a 30-second delay from us being live. So I'm just gonna set a little timer. And we'll give this a few seconds for people to call in. Is phone blowing up, John?
Huh?
That I was asking John if his phone was blowing up. He's getting no phone calls coming in right now. A reminder to anybody watching the live stream that wants to participate publicly, there's a second public comment in the agenda. We will read the number again, and you guys can jump in at that time. We're going to turn it back over to Mrs. McVeigh for number 11.
Eddie,
Any questions? Are there any?
committee?
No, there was no comment. At this
I'm
time.
sorry, I was waiting still to make sure there wasn't anybody who had, who wants to speak with the residents forum. So we'll move on to committee reports. We're going to close out the residents forum for agenda items only. Committee reports, moving on to instructional. Can I have a motion to approve items A1 through A4?
Motion.
That was Pat.
I have Ms. Harper and Ms. Chambers. Any questions? Okay, Mr. Williams,
I have to abstain at this time.
Ms. Paklakua,
Yes.
thank you. Ms. Chambers,
Yes.
Ms. Palladino,
Yes.
Mr. Rossetti,
Yes.
Ms. Harper,
Yes.
Mr. Dalio, Mr. Dalio,
Sorry, you cut off. Yes.
thank you, sir. Ms. Hannadel,
Nick, excuse me, I was abstaining on A1 only. The rest is yes, I'm sorry.
oh, okay, thank you for clarifying, Mr. Williams. I've confirmed that abstention A1, yes on the rest. So, Ms. Hannadel. Ms. Hannadel, can you confirm your vote on these items?
Yes.
Thank you, Ms. McVeigh.
Yes.
All right, motion carries.
All right, moving on to item B, personnel. I need a motion to approve items 1 through 16.
So moved.
Motion. Second.
All right, who was my first there?
Kim.
Thank you, Ms. Hannadel. I had Ms. Palladino.
You got it.
Are there any questions?
I have a question. This is Pat. On item 5, item 6A, the non-bargaining staff exhibit 5A. Is there a typo on the top position there? As compared to the salary from what we approved last year? Can I read out the name of the position or no?
No, that's not a typo. Nick and I met with him, and he has a shift in his responsibilities for the upcoming year, so that's correct.
Okay, all right, I just wanted to make sure because it seemed a little out of norm. Okay. I have one more question. There was a new item added under number 7G sometime this afternoon. Supervisor of Math and Science under Shared Services. I don't know anything about this. I was trying to read part of it when I did go on to the agenda about 4:30. Can we have some explanation or clarification on what this is all about?
Sure, and I apologize, Pat. I didn't know that was added today. I thought that was on there. So basically, last year we had Mr. Baranato to oversee the math department to do professional development. So now this upcoming year, we're going to expand his services with Mr. Morgan going into Darren Hickman's position. We're down an administrator. We're down a whole body of an administrator. So instead of hiring someone to fill Mr. Morgan's position, we're just going to have Mr. Akampura as a shared service, Baranato, I'm sorry, as a shared service for math and science. So he will oversee those two departments as well as do their observations, do their faculty, their department meetings. He will be in charge of those two departments.
Okay. having have to vote on something like this without too much information, is there, I guess it's too late, but I guess my question is the actual certifications of the individual to do the job.
Yes, he has his superintendent license.
Okay, and what about his background in math and science?
It's stronger than the positions that we've been using in the past.
Okay. Is it true that Little Lake Harbor approved this position Monday night on the 18th of May? In the shared position or shared service that the Board of Education at Little Lake approved this Monday night at their board meeting for a shared service, and we requested this.
And you requested, I'm sorry, can you clarify that?
Is it true that at Monday's meeting of the Little Lake Harbor Board of Education on May 18th, that they were told, or it was approved, and that Pinelands had requested it as per the contract?
Nick, can you clarify that? Because I don't recall that.
No, in fact, I think we have to put this on the Little Egg agenda for June. I was just going to pull up to see if we.
He's pulling up Little Eggs now, Pat, but I think that it wasn't on Monday night, and nowhere was it said that Pinelands requested anything.
Well, I have the contract here in front of me, and it was pulled right off of your website because it's public information. I actually pulled it today.
I'm looking at the.
It says that Pinelands has requested that Little Lake Harbor provide us with services for supervisor of math and science. It was approved. It was on your agenda because it was a link, and I was able to take a look at it.
And I apologize, Pat, but there's probably 10 different shared service agreements, so I just wasn't sure if that one was on this agenda or was going on June's agenda. I'm looking at it now.
Okay. Well, I found it on your agenda from Monday night, which was the 18th.
And this is, if I understand it, how you described it, this is Karen, that Mr. Morgan is moving into Mr. Hickman's position, so a vice principal position?
So yes, Mr. Morgan is going to be Mr. Hickman's position, and we can hire for Mr. Morgan's position. We can hire a full-time administrator with benefits. I felt it was, more of a cost savings to expand Mr. Baronato's role that he did this past year, in which he did professional development, and now he will have additional responsibilities of overseeing the math and science department with observations, meeting with them after school at a cost of, much lower than if we had to hire a full-time administrator.
Right, so this is in place of?
Yes.
Hiring a new person?
Exactly.
Okay.
So,
and we think that he'll have the capacity time-wise to be able to supervise at the elementary level as well as middle school and high school?
Yes.
Okay.
So it was on the agenda from Monday, and Pat, I guess what you're referring to is the opening paragraph there where it refers to the Title 40 shared language, whereas Pinelands has requested, and that's the standard shared service language in each of the agreements. I'm sorry, I'll say most of the agreements.
I'm actually finding it rather shocking that we had never even had a chance to discuss this prior to the board meeting, or what the plan was moving forward with the math and science supervisor position, or where that individual was being moved to, or that there was another shared service in the WIN or part of the plan. So this was quite shocking to me. And I just, like I said, I feel that maybe there should have been some transparency here and some discussion with the board. I understand that recommendations can be made, but ultimately we're the people that oversee to make sure the district is run well and efficient, which you're doing a great job. But I really feel we should have been afforded some information about this, and I shouldn't have had to find it out looking at Little Egg's, board agenda from Monday night and not knowing anything about this. I'm sorry. I'm finding that rather shocking. I am. I have to be quite honest with you. That's really all I have to say.
I would like to state that I just got this late this afternoon. I don't know when that was added, But in late April, with some of the support documentation and everything else for the evaluation and merit pay, we were given a list that had that Mr. Hickman was not being replaced.
He's not. Mr. Morgan is going to be in his position.
No, it says that he is not being replaced. So that, and we had this discussion before we made the last vice principal / supervisor also. That's why it's so perplexing. And then for this to be turned on, late this afternoon, I really think these things need more board input and board, discussion informing us as to just why, what's the plan, the reasons why.
It's been very clear that Mr. Morgan was not going to be replaced. He is not. Mr. Hickman. Mr. Morgan is in his position. Mr. Akampora has already been working for the district, and now we're just expanding his responsibilities to oversee the math and science departments and save the district a substantial amount of money.
Yeah, but Mr. Morgan will become a vice principal?
Yes.
Or assistant principal?
Yes.
Yeah, I think the expectation was that when Mr. Hickman retired, at some stage we had talked about the potential of not replacing that position. And I recognize what you're doing is rather shifting personnel so that we are not replacing one position, but it's not the vice principal position, it's the director of math and science. And my only concern, and I would trust your judgment on this one, is whether or not that knowing that math is an area of improvement for us, whether or not the individual would have enough time involved to work with our teachers and our students so that we're able to accomplish, continued improvement on the math end of things.
So to that point, Karen, I would say that the minimal amount of responsibility that Mr. Akampora had this year had a substantial impact on our math scores. And now having him in the building more is only going to enhance that impact. And now he'll have science as well. And there are many supervisors that serve in a K-12 capacity. So I look at it similar to that.
Okay, thanks.
Listen, I'm confused about one thing though, is you're saying John Akampora, but the name on the thing
I'm
is
sorry,
different.
his name has changed to, it's Baranato now. I'm sorry, I'm just referring.
Oh, so it is the same. I didn't know, because your computer also says Akampora.
Yes, I'm sorry.
So it's the same person. That's
Yes.
to be, okay.
Are there any other questions from the board about this?
Yeah, I have a question in general for all of this shared service. So the items, hold on, I just closed out and had to reopen. Okay, for the shared services in item 7, is that what is reflected in the budget? The shared service?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Yes, thank you. I think you knew where I was going. Yeah.
Yeah, so in the 7 item, which is coming up next, A, B, C, D, E, F are all reappointments, and G is the one that we're talking about now.
Okay. And they are reflected in the budget as a shared partial salary?
No, and so part of the discussion during the budget process with the Budget and Finance Committee was that the county had given guidance that shared services for administrators should be budgeted at 100% of the contract, not the reduced value. And the challenge being, if the shared service agreement ends, being able to come up with those additional funds in the subsequent, in that current year or in a subsequent budget year. And so what we talked about with the committee was, and John and I spent some time this week working on our projected or anticipated shared services as a result of the items on that part of the agenda. And not even including the revenue, just in shared services from salaries, it's a number a little over $250,000 a year. What we talked about with the board was, do we want to earmark that amount of money for a purchase to dedicate it to something so that it doesn't just flow through as part of the excess surplus calculation at the end of the year, but instead we're saying, we know we saved $250,000 from these shared services, and this is what we've done with it in this particular year. So I think there's still time for the board to earmark those savings for a purchase like that if they'd like.
Okay, good. Yeah, I knew we had in the past that we were fully loading the budget, you know, for that exact reason, just in case it didn't work out. I didn't want it to be an impact, but I wasn't sure how we treated it this year, so thank you.
Yep,
I
no
have
problem.
a question on new hires. The position, let me see, 2D. Could we talk about that placement of the step? So this is a person that, based on the resume from what I can see, is a recent graduate, but we're placing them at step 4.
Okay, yep, Karen. So first, he does have a couple years doing some type of adjunct work in a college, but beside that, the contract allows us to go 4 steps above their experience. And even putting 4 steps above, he's only making 55, which is fairly low compared to most districts. And it's difficult to get a physics teacher. We were actually worried that he wasn't going to take the position because of other offers and getting more money. So I do feel that's a fair salary.
Okay, yeah, I agree. When you look at the salary and you look at the person coming in with a master's, I was just thinking of the placement and potential impact compared to other staff, if that would be an issue.
May I say, I thought his, sorry.
Go
ahead, Karen.
No, go ahead.
No, I just thought his resume was really impressive, actually, even with the little experience he had. I was very happy to see his credentials.
Okay. And then, sorry.
Go ahead, Karen. I'll wait. Go ahead.
Karen, do you want to say something?
Yeah, no, I'm done with that one. Thanks.
May I ask one more question? It's Pat.
Sure.
On the shared service, actually, Nick, on your contract, I'm sorry I didn't bring this up. I just noted it here. Correct me if I'm wrong, okay? That we're paying Little Lake Harbor District $102.5 for your shared services for this next coming year.
Yes.
Is this 7A are we talking about then?
Actually, it's the BA shared service contract.
Yeah, okay, item 7A, yes.
All right, now, and again, looking over Little Lake Harbor's meeting from Monday night, where your contract was approved at your salary, it said our portion of your total salary was $33,187 that we were going to be paying to Little Lake Harbor. And then they would be obviously kicking in the rest for the total amount. I'm a little bit confused.
There's a difference. The contract that was approved by the board at Little Lake Harbor is my employment contract, which spells out my salary that gets paid by Little Lake Harbor. What it's saying there is there's an amount that's paid for the work at Little Lake, and there's an amount that I get for my work at Pinelands. So what it's telling you is that we bill Pinelands $100,000 for the service, and I get paid, I think, a little over 30 out of that 100. The board keeps the rest.
Okay, so the 33,187 that I'm seeing that was approved Monday night is what you will get.
Yes, for doing the shared service at Pinelands.
Okay,
The agreement in the shared service agreement is the agreement between the boards of education for what they're willing to pay for those services. The employment contract is between Little Lake and each employee for what the employee's compensation is for those services.
all right. So just to make sure, we are paying Little Lake Harbor $102.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right, thanks for the clarification.
No problem. Any other questions about personnel items?
Yes,
Yeah.
under B, the whole section, there is, what appears to me to be, it includes raises. Is that correct?
What are we talking about? For all items under B for personnel?
Oh, I mean, uh,
The reappointments?
10 months, PEA 12 months, buildings and ground staff, non-bargaining staff, school-based youth services. There appears to be raises over what we have been paying. When, am I correct? And when did we discuss any of that?
We did the budget and finance committee. Well, I'd say the business office develops a budget for salaries and presents that to the budget and finance committee. We never discuss, is this rate okay for everybody? But we used a 2.5% increase for just about everybody on that list.
Just about everybody or everybody?
Now, there's a couple people that had requested special consideration, and Dr. M and I discussed those individuals.
Thank you.
No problem. Any other questions on personnel?
Yes. New hires? So item B. Could you discuss, please, the off-guide placement?
Sure. The individual being hired has 18 years professional experience. I negotiated with him and I'm giving him 4 years off the guide. Reason being, we are focusing, as the board knows and has mentioned numerous times, on our non-college bound students. This individual has been very strong in the position. Our theater and arts program at Pinelands is a staple. We want to continue to build the program. I know that we have mentioned in the past that Gina and I have already been speaking with Stockton about a dual enrollment arts academy, and this individual has his master's degree. Dr. Atkins has his doctorate, obviously, and we feel confident that we can expand this program and hopefully attract more students to Pinelands, which is our ultimate goal. This individual has worked for Pinelands in the past, is very respected, and that is my recommendation for salary.
Is the off-guide consistent with the contract?
Yes.
I know that we can go up within 4 bands. It looks like for the resume, he's got 15 years experience.
He has 18 years of professional experience. The contract reads, and I'll read it to you. Initial placement on the salary guide upon hire will not be higher than 4 steps above the actual years of experience. Does not state specifically what that experience is, and he has 18 years of professional experience.
Okay, so I guess there's experience beyond his
Yes.
resume. Okay. Thanks.
Any other questions on personnel items B1 through B16? All right, go to a roll call vote. Mr. Williams?
Yes on B1. No on the rest. And this, in my view, is a prime example why we went to the 2% plus used bank cap. And as one board member, I see this as being unsustainable to our communities and our taxpayers. Thank you.
So to confirm your vote there, that is yes on B1, no on B2 through B16.
B1A, hold on a second. You got, 1 second, sir. Under personnel, B1, yes. B2 through B16, no.
Thank you. Ms. Paklakua?
I am a yes, with the exception of item 2. I am a no. And item 6A, a no. Everything else is yes.
Thank you. Ms. Chambers?
Ms. Chambers?
There we go. Okay, thank you. I was muted. Yes, with some exceptions. Are you ready, Nick?
I'm ready.
Okay. I am going to abstain on item 4, 5, 6, 7A through F, number 9, and it would be a no on item 2, and a no on 7G. Everything else would be yes.
Nick, can you repeat that?
You want me to repeat Ms. Chambers' vote?
Yes.
Yes on B1, abstain 4, 5, 6, 7, A through F, and 9, no on item 2, and no on item 7G.
That's correct.
All right. Ms. Palladino?
Yes.
Mr. Rossetti?
Yes to everything.
Ms. Harper?
Yes, and I abstain on item 7.
Mr. Dalio?
Yes on everything.
Ms. Hannadel?
Yes.
Mrs. McVeigh?
Yes.
All right, just hang on a sec. I just want to make sure I don't have any. All motions carry.
Thank you, Nick. Moving on to item number C, report of the board secretary, business administrator. I would like a motion to approve items C1 through C10.
Motion.
Second.
Second.
I have Mr. Dalio there. Are there any questions on finance items C1 through C10? All right. Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Paklakua?
Yes, but I do need to abstain on item 1.
Thank you. Ms. Chambers?
Let me unmute. Yes. Yes on all.
Thank you. Ms. Palladino?
Yes, I'll have to abstain on C4.
Thank you. Mr. Rossetti?
On the mute button. Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Harper?
Yes.
Mr. Dalio?
Yes.
Ms. Hannadel?
Yes.
Mrs. McVeigh?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Nick. Moving on to annual appointments. I'd like to ask for motion to approve items D1 through D23.
Motion.
Second?
Second.
I have Ms. Harper and Ms. Chambers. Thank you. Are there any questions on these items? Just a reminder to the board that a number of these items exist because there used to be April elections, and there would be commonplace to do these appointments immediately following April elections in May. And then when elections moved to November, a lot of the annual appointments got moved to that time, and we've moved a number of annual appointments to the reorg agenda in January. So these are what's left over that wasn't done at the reorg agenda. All right. Mr. Williams.
Yes.
Ms. Paklakua.
Yes.
Ms. Chambers.
Yes.
Ms. Palladino.
Yes.
Mr. Rossetti,
Yes.
Mrs. Harper,
Yes.
Mr. Dalio,
Yes.
Ms. Hannadel,
Yes.
Ms. McVeigh.
Yes.
Those motions carry. A reminder to everybody that the call-in number for public comment is 609-294-2293.
So item number 13 is residence forum, general topics. Board policy 0167 encourages community participation in every meeting. However, the board requests that the public request that respect a reasonable time limit when commenting on any topic.
All right, Mr. Yates, how's the hotline looking?
No calls at this time.
All right, we're just like we did last time. We're gonna just start a quick timer. All right, it's been about 30 seconds. Ms. McVeigh, whenever you're ready.
Sure, we'll move on to board forum. Tommy Williams, you got anything for us?
Just that, to follow up on my previous statement, that I think we need to start actually having negotiations and work within our means. That, in my view, in light of everything going on and all the people losing their jobs and won't be able to pay their bills to begin with, I think we need to tighten our belts with the budgets. Thank you.
Thank you, Tommy. Pat, got anything for us?
Just congratulations to the student groups that won some awards that Dr. McCooley mentioned to us in her update. That's wonderful news. Congratulations to the staff of 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years, I think was the last one I saw, 25. Congratulations. And also to the retirees that will be ending their careers very shortly. I wish you the best. Thank you for your time, your service, and dedication to the Pinelands children and the community. And I hope you enjoy your newfound freedom. That's it. Everyone have a nice evening.
Thank you, Ms. Chambers.
Karen, you got anything for us?
Yeah. So same thing, just thank you for everyone, the administration and the staff for helping us get through this challenging time that we're all going through. I'm sure it's difficult for our students and our parents, and I'm sure that they appreciate all that you are doing to help them through. I do just also, congratulations, especially to those that are retiring. We will miss you and wish you the best. And welcome to our new hires. I do welcome you all. My objection and concern was really just more not related to the individuals, but to the placements on the guide. But I do welcome you all, and I look forward to welcoming all of our staff back to the district in September. In the meantime, thanks again to the administration for all that you're doing to help get us through this. That's all.
Thank you, Karen. Tommy, anything for us?
I just want to say thank you to Dr. McCooley and the staff. This remote learning has been going so great. I think Pinelands is doing a phenomenal job with this. And then hopefully back in September, we can have a normal meeting.
Thank you. All right, who's next on my list? Christy, anything for us?
Did you call me, Betty Ann?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
I just want to say thank you to everyone. Give a shout out to everyone who received those awards at the beginning, especially Dr. Atkins. I'd like to hear how it went down in Florida. That's it. Have a good night.
Thank you, Christy. Augie, you got something for us?
Yeah, before I cut, I keep on cutting out. So I just wanted to, again, thank the administration, Dr. McCooley, Mr. Brown, all your hard work and dedication through this COVID.
Greatly appreciate all your hard work in this. And that's pretty much all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Rachel, how about you?
Yeah, I think it's all pretty much been covered. Everyone's doing a great job working together and trying to navigate this virtual learning. So that's pretty much it. Congratulations to everybody and stay safe.
Thank you, Rachel. Kim?
Same thing. I mean, thank you, everybody. Congratulations to all the retirees, to the graduates of 2020. We're hoping still that maybe we'll see you live. I doubt it, but we are hoping. I am thrilled that Chuck is back. I think he's going to do an amazing job again and bring us back up to where we were and beyond in the theater department. The SALT committee has been amazing. Thank you all for voting for those new changes. Grading really needs to be upgraded. So that was great. That's one of the things they were dealing with. Thank you for all the donations. And Christy, thank you. And Karen, Kenny, and Aaron's presentations in the superintendent's documents were amazing. And they last month and this month. And good luck trying to get some parents to call in. I handed out those events coming up in the next month. So those are amazing too. So thanks for all your work, everybody. It's really, really coming along. Very proud of you.
Thanks, Kim. I'd like to give a shout out to my fellow board members. This is not the way I'm sure we want to be meeting and conducting business. It is very difficult. We don't get to see each other, have conversations, even share any kind of little story. It's very difficult. We've had new members that have come on that have met more virtually than we have in person. So hopefully somewhere down the road, we get back to the real world and leave the virtual world behind us. I'd like to wish the best of luck to the retirees. Some of those faces are familiar faces to me as my children went through Pinelands. They had major positive influences on my children, and I'm sure many other children. I hate to see them go, but I wish them the very best. And again, I am tickled to death to have Mr. Miller back amongst our ranks. I have a regret that there are a couple years there where students didn't have the impact on their lives that he brings to the students. He's an amazing instructor. And as Kim stated, I can't wait to see where we go. Delighted to have him back. With that, everybody enjoy the rest of your evening, and can we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second.
Mr. Gallio and Mr. Rossetti, both in favor of adjournment. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This meeting is adjourned at 7:20 p.m. Have a wonderful evening, everybody. The next meeting of the board is June 17th, 5:30 p.m. executive, 6 p.m. regular session.
Night,
Thank you,
everyone.
Nick. Thank you, Melissa.
Bye, Betty Ann. Have a good night.
You too, guys.